Government seeks foreign assistance to continue Uma oil project. President says the public protests are fair. GMOA makes 5 demands. If not met, protests to continue. Will State Minister TBA Kanayaka and 8 MPs become independent? News first revelation on murder-rape case of Vidya. Responses received from Switzerland. 2 Northern Provincial Council ministers sworn in for 3 months probation.
Hello there, very good evening. It's Thursday night. This is Prime Time News. I'm Sonali Vanikabadage.
And I'm Sharon Silva. Let's start off with a look at your local news.
President Maithripala Sirisena says expertise from foreign intellectuals will be sought to resolve issues plaguing the Uma Oya project. The head of state made this statement during an event in Nuwara.
The 125th anniversary celebration of Highland College took place under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. Students who performed exceptionally well were presented with awards, while a first day cover was also issued during the event.
You might have seen a large protest in Bandarawala by people who were affected through the Uma Oya project. It was the previous government that commenced this project, disregarding the impact assessments and the expertise of our engineers. It was a political decision. The previous government took a massive loan from the Iranian government for this project. When I became the president in 2015, I looked into whether I could stop this project. However, by that time, 2/3 of the project had been completed, so we had to let this project continue. I am on the side of the protesters. We will look into who committed this mistake. Individuals who disregard engineers' advice began this project based on political decisions and defrauded millions in the process, and are now silent on this issue. I personally know that the estimates for this project were prepared in a wrong manner. I hope to conduct a separate inquiry into this. I summoned some foreign experts to look into this issue. I dispatched a German expert to inspect the project 3 days ago. Some of the best engineers in the country are from Norway. I have requested assistance from the Norwegian government, and they will be dispatching a team of experts in the near future. I hope to obtain the expertise of foreign intellectuals to resolve this issue.
State Minister TBA Kanayaka has announced that there are 18 members of parliament preparing to separate from the government and serve as independent MPs.
The agreement signed between the SLFP and the UNP expires in September. A majority of the MPs representing the SLFP are currently debating whether we continue to remain with the government or decide to act as independent MPs. This is because of certain actions of the government and the government's protest against such decisions. A majority feels that it is better to remain as independent MPs. We will be holding a couple of meetings during the next parliamentary week and will reach a decision. I believe that this is the view of the majority.
The Government Medical Officers Association issued a fresh warning today that they would launch another strike action if they do not receive a response to the 5 demands they presented to the government. Meanwhile, Dr. Neville Fernando, who's the chairperson of CITEM, expressed CITEM's stance on the matter.
In 2006,
the then Minister of Higher Education, Professor Vishwa Varnapala, said close to 100,000 students in Sri Lanka qualify to enter university, but only 18,000 are enrolled. So I went and spoke to the minister and I said I would sell the Asha Central Hospital for 1.6 billion rupees and start a private university. I also wrote a letter to the then chairman of the University Grants Commission, Gamini Samaranayaka, that I wish to establish a private institution. He replied by saying that the University Act does not allow private universities. I knew that there were several universities in Sri Lanka with affiliations with overseas universities which award degrees. Then I spoke with the chairman of the Board of Investment at the time, Dhammika Perera. He said I should meet 2 factors. One was to get an MOU with a leading university in the world. We then went to Russia and signed an agreement with the Nizhny Novgorod State Medical Academy. We had that agreement even today. Professors from Russia came down to Sri Lanka for examinations even last year. I'm contributing a very valuable hospital to the government. I have promised the banks to even pay the debts. This hospital belongs to Saitam until these debts are paid, and once all of it is paid, it goes to the government.
However, the Government Medical Officers Association says it will not deviate from its original stance on Saitam. Following an emergency meeting of its Central Working Committee, the GMOA presented 5 demands to the government. Gather the medical education standards as promised in the Court of Appeal by the Minister of Health and legalize the technical report of the Medical Council. Inform court that Saitam has not received the necessary certification of the Medical Council through the Minister of Higher Education. Halt enrollment of students to Saitam. Ban the institute from issuing degrees. Appoint a committee so that the current students of Saitam can receive a solution which is acceptable to the Medical Council. The GMOA also calls on the government to take steps to nationalize Saitam.
The person who can adapt to the changing world will be left behind. This affects the nation as well. Dispute lies, make people clap for them, and then try to move forward in this manner. This is like you are trying to drive a car while the handbrake is engaged. The toad in the well thinks he has conquered the 7 seas when he circles around the well 7 times.
If this is the manner in which officials respond to these issues, then we are left with only one option: protests and strikes. The next few days will be crucial. The Central Working Committee has given us the green light to launch a non-stop island-wide trade union action. We are not going to strike based on Minister Rajitha's statement. We call on the government to send someone responsible to explain the government's stance.
The President has put forward some policies. The Cabinet of Ministers proposed several solutions to this issue on Tuesday. A regulatory mechanism will also be set up to monitor both government and private institutions independently. Education also includes humaneness, not just a degree. I believe that they won't engage in another strike.
The Satyagraha campaign launched by the parents of university students calling for Saitam to be abolished continued today as well. The Fort Magistrates today issued an order to take steps to remove the platform of the protesters, which has been set up opposite the Fort railway station. Protests were organized today as well by students of the Karapitiya and Kelaniya universities against Saitam.
The students are being dragged into protests by the extremist Frontline Socialist Party. It is not a leftist movement. They have been joined by the GMOA. We will fearlessly speak out against such persons. If everyone is frightened by them, then this country will become one full of liars.
Well, earlier today, I spoke with the President of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Anuruddha Pardeniya, on Newsline, where matters pertaining to the crisis surrounding Saitam were also discussed. Dr. Pardeniya, let's get straight to the point. You took the Hippocratic oath to serve the people, to serve the sick and injured. Don't you think that you're in violation of that sacred holy oath?
What we are demanding is not a right to us, but we are asking the mechanism to safeguard the patient right should be established, and there should be any violation of that practice, and doctors should not be allowed to practice on their own without supervision of the medical council. This is what we are telling. When Maithripala Sirisena, the current president, was the former health minister, when he was holding the post, we haven't done any strike. So unfortunately, after he departed, the new minister is trying to violate the universal norm that allowing doctors who are not recognized or who are not going under the medical council supervision to practice in this country, and thereby ultimately violating the patient rights. So that is the basic norm of our fight.
There is a notion among the public that the doctors and the GMOA are acting like thugs, whereas doctors are considered to be gods.
How do you view this?
No, we are a trade union. Unfortunately, when we are on trade union action, obviously the impact is on the patients. But the impact will have to be judged whether it is a short-term impact or long-term impact. When you analyze this issue, if you drop this issue, considering the short-term impact, what will happen is the patient will eternally suffer because the ability to safeguard their rights by maintaining a supervision, ensuring a supervision of the doctor's practice towards patient will get abolished. So, and there will be a violation of patient rights in long term. We are a trade union. There is a trade union law in this country. There is a trade union ordinance in this country. We act according to the law of this land. If we act against law, they can sue us. They can take us to courts.
What about the patients, the thousands of patients whose rights are violated as a result of your strike action?
Exactly. So we can stop strike provided you as journalists who are very responsible and talking very responsibly take over this right to safeguard the patient rights and to maintain and to stand by the universal norm.
I'm sorry, Dr. Padini, but to me that sounds like a veiled threat.
Yes, to asking in a civilized country, asking the country authorities to stand by a universal norm, is it a threat?
It has been over 5 months since medical students of state universities began boycotting classes due to protests concerning issues surrounding SITEM. Minister Susil Premajayantha issued a warning in this regard today.
The problem around SITEM has been going on for too long. As a result of this, around 6,500 medical students did not attend lectures during the past 4 months. There are 2 upcoming batches for internships. They also have issues. The advanced level students who are qualified will send in their applications. Tomorrow, a deadline will be set for that. If this continues, it will be similar to what happened in 1988 and 1989 once again. If a single batch is delayed, it will affect the schools as well. During the 88-89 period, I served as an advocate in Colombo. We saw how university students and school students engaged in illegal activities. We presented them before courts. Unlike some people, we have that experience.
In other local news, the Attorney General's Department says if Perpetual Treasuries wishes to clear its name, it should come before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Newsfirst's Zulfiq Farzan, who has been comprehensively following this story, reports.
Vasantha Dialvis, the additional director of IT at the central bank, testified that he did not make any adjustments to the data mentioned in the document extracted from the electronic system. The Attorney General's Department pointed out that government securities kept as collateral and are to be released cannot be sold, and the transaction cannot be simultaneous. The attorney for Perpetual Treasuries Limited attempted to submit a computer-generated printout of a document relating to the Lanka settle system dating to 2016 and questioned the witness. Deputy Solicitor General Milinda Gunathilaka, objecting to this move, said the codes used by participants in the Lanka settle system must be questioned on the system rulebook and not a computer-generated printout. The Lanka settle system rules owned and operated by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka were introduced in 2003 and were amended in 2013 with a new set of codes. It came to light that even after the 2013 amendments, some primary dealers had been using the old codes, resulting in the transactions not recorded in the system properly. The attorney for PTL noted in relation to a central bank-owned fund, wrong codes were entered into the system by the central bank. The witness pointed out that these codes had been entered by PTL as the central bank-owned fund was merely a customer of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. The counsel appearing for Perpetual Treasuries Limited accused that the witness was not giving truthful information to the Commission. The witness rejected this accusation and pointed out to the counsel that he had not looked into the other data mentioned in the documentation that was extracted from the electronic system. Meanwhile, the arguments between the state and Perpetual Treasuries Limited led to a more humorous turn today, with comments being passed to each other about their good looks. I'm Zulfiq Farzan reporting from the Presidential Commission of Inquiry for News First.
As mentioned in your headlines tonight, Newsfirst can reveal that Switzerland has confirmed that one of the alleged suspects arrested in connection to the 2015 murder and rape of schoolgirl Sivaloganatham Vidya is not a Swiss national. In response to an email from Newsfirst, Swiss ambassador to Sri Lanka, Heinz Walker-Niederkuhn, notes that close examination by Swiss authorities has revealed that the person in question is not a Swiss citizen, but a person of Sri Lankan nationality who lived temporarily in Switzerland. The ambassador also condemns the heinous crime that took place in 2015, adding that Switzerland is open to provide legal assistance to the Sri Lankan authorities if requested.
The case pertaining to the rape and murder of Sivaloganatham Vidya was taken up before a trial at bar for the second day today at the Jaffna High Court.
The case is being heard against 9 suspects, including the chief suspect identified as Swiss Kumar. Following the arrest of the 10th suspect connected to the case, the 5th suspect turned into a state's witness and was produced before the court today. Deputy Solicitor General Kumar Ratnam, during his cross-examination, inquired into whether the suspect has been involved in an affair with the victim. It was revealed by the 5th suspect that Periyathambi, alias Ushandan, a driver attached to the Punkuduthivu Pradesha Sabha, had been in love with the victim. However, the victim had repeatedly refused his advances. The 5th suspect also revealed that on a number of occasions he accompanied Periyathambi as he followed the victim on a motorbike as she travelled home after school. He added that around 1.5 months before the incident, the victim had assaulted Periyathambi with a slipper, and this had made him mad at Vidya. It was revealed that Periyathambi had possibly given around 20,000 rupees to kidnap the victim. When the suspect stated in open court that his life may be at risk, the bench ordered the journalists and individuals present in court to vacate the premises.
The Public Utilities Commission has called on the Ceylon Electricity Board to develop 12 new scenarios which will provide different power plant combinations to generate electricity for the next 20 years.
The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has called on the CEB to develop these scenarios with updated prices for coal, natural gas, cost of externalities, and should be submitted together with input data. The CEB has been instructed to develop the least cost long-term generation expansion plan, doing away with the assumption that pump storage plants are mandatory. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has also called on the CEB to create the scenarios with the constraint if no future coal power plant additions. The CEB has been requested to submit the plans by the 7th of July, and the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka will announce the decision of the least cost long-term generation expansion plan on the 20th of July.
Day 2 of the Foreign Policy Forum, titled Sri Lanka's Foreign Policy Choices in the Changing World, was held at the Lakshman Kadiragama Institute this morning.
Dr. Khadira Patiagoda, visiting fellow from Brooks Doha Center, spoke about Sri Lanka's relations with China and India.
India sees Sri Lanka as an economic opportunity and supports increased trade and connectivity in some areas, including through the Economic and Technical Cooperation Agreement. But it also sees Sri Lanka as a competitor. Before India can become a global power, it must first achieve strategic dominance in its own region. And China's involvement in Sri Lanka comes in direct conflict to this, because Delhi has long sought to deny external powers influence in the region. In response to China's presence, India has sought to compete with Beijing through strategic investments of its own, like in Trincomalee, and it's pressed neighbours like Sri Lanka to be mindful of India's interests when engaging with China. Sri Lanka should see this as an opportunity to confidently use its leverage, punch above its weight, and extract more, and then finally achieve the security and prosperity that its people have long deserved.
Singapore was learning from Sri Lanka decades ago, long before that we even look at Singapore as an example.
We do not need to have perhaps the United Kingdom or America tell us what the rule of law or what violations of the rule of law would constitute. The suggestion is that we know what the rule of law is, and we know this because we live every day compliant with the rule of law.
A special service was held today at the premises of the Capital Maharaj organization to enshrine the statue of Mother Mary. The statue was blessed by His Holiness the Pope. His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, Archbishop of Colombo, officiated at the ceremony. The event saw the participation of many officials from the Capital Maharaja organization.
Mother means love. That is why when we are in pain, in the Sinhala language we say Amma, Amme, Amme. We have been given by Jesus a present just before He passed away. He gave His mother to us to be our mother. And so we believe that she has a very powerful role to play in our lives in the search for happiness. Therefore, I am extremely grateful to the organization for their initiative, and I am very happy to have come today to bless this statue. It happens to be also my 42nd ordination anniversary, so I am very happy that this coincided today. So I wish Maharaja organization all the blessings of God and accompaniment in the wonderful mission they are completing here in the country, in the service of truth and justice and peace, and we encourage them to continue doing that in the future too.
On behalf of Mr. Raj Mahendran, the chairman of the Capital Maharaja organization, and the management, heartfelt thank you for gracing this occasion with your presence, and also our congratulations and our continued prayers for the work that you do on this 42nd anniversary of your ordination. To give you the courage, may God give you the courage and strength to continue the work you do, especially among the marginalized and the poor. Thank you to Mr. Leon Rasaya for getting this statue across to us after having it blessed by His Holiness the Pope, and also to Father Bharat for carrying it all the way from Norway.
Religious reconciliation is something that we love from the bottom of our hearts. A close associate of the Capital Maharaja organization, Ian Rasaya, met Pope Francis in the Vatican in 2016. So as a result of that meeting and with the blessings of the chairman, this statue of Mother Mary was brought here.
Gammadda has by now transformed into an island-wide movement and is indeed Sri Lanka's largest humanitarian initiative. This Saturday will see the next step being launched, the Gammadda 1000 Project Initiative. Here's a look.
The Gammadda 1000 Projects Initiative will commence based on the findings of the report compiled by the Peradeniya University through the second Gammadda door-to-door campaign. Newsfirst took steps today to inform religious leaders today regarding the initiative. A Newsfirst team called on the chief prelate of the Askari chapter of the Siam sect to create awareness on the project.
The Sirasa Media Network has a strong connection with the people. I believe a media organization carrying out such acts based on social needs is a noble initiative. We should know that the Sirasa Media Network is well ahead when it comes to such acts. We have experienced how you carry out these projects, which proved to be very useful for the people. May the blessings of a sacred tooth relic and the Sri Mahabodhi guide your activities.
Thereafter, the Newsfirst team, along with a group of lecturers from the Peradeniya University, called on the chief prelate of the Malbata chapter of the Siam sect.
There have been a number of successful activities. You were able to provide a great service to the people affected by the floods. These were things that should have been done by the government.
A Newsfirst team also engaged in religious observances at the historic Nallur Kandaswamy Kovil.
Newsfirst began a good deed to provide relief to people who need help. After successfully completing the 100 days project, they are now preparing to complete 1000 projects. May the blessings of the gods aid you in completing this task successfully.
The second Gammadda report was also handed to Dilaraj Kanagasabe, the Bishop of Colombo for the Church of Ceylon.
I just want to congratulate Newsfirst Gammadda program, because it is grounded on human relationships. People who have been tired of fighting for their rights, fighting for their privileges, were empowered by this program so that they would have inner spirituality and confidence that they can gather their resources together and offer something beautiful for the nation.
Details regarding the Gamme the 1000 Projects initiative was explained to the members of the All-Island Jamiatul Ulama.
You're watching your primetime news bulletin. In other local news, 2 northern provincial councillors have been sworn in as provincial ministers.
Northern Provincial Councillor Anandi Shashidharan has been sworn in as the Provincial Minister for Women's Affairs, Social Service and Rehabilitation. K. Sarveswaran was sworn in as the Northern Province Minister of Education and Sports. The provincial councillors were sworn in before the Governor of the Northern Province, Reginald Kure. Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vigneswaran was also present at the occasion. Northern Province Agriculture Minister P. Aingironesan and Northern Province Education Minister T. Kurukularasa resigned from their positions after they were accused of engaging in fraud and corruption. There is a lot to be removed. We only have a short period of time. We cannot do a lot with that period of time. So we are hoping to prioritize work and fulfill the most important tasks. We hold the 9th position in the education system. A lot of changes need to be done to improve it. There are certain administrative shortcomings due to the 30-year war. We cannot rectify it in 1 or 2 days. We are working on creating the right background for it.
I consider this as an invitation to serve the women who were affected by the war. I do not think the Northern Province has the required provisions for rehabilitation of women. I received a large number of calls as soon as I was sworn in. They think that I'm here to serve them with a large sum of money. But what I think is that we do not have enough provisions like the public think. I will commit myself to give a voice to the problems faced by the public. I consider this as a winning moment of the public.
I jointly handled 3 ministries under my purview. I delegated certain responsibilities among them and took over the Ministry of Agriculture. This is only a probational appointment. I will reconsider in 3 months. That is why I said that I will reconsider it in 3 months. We will reach a decision after meeting with Sambandhan. We will consider all that and move forward.
The 31st Run Thurunugama model village in the Dabul electorate was vested in the public today.
The Run Thurunugama model village, which was vested in the public today, consists of 27 homes. The former president says that our government steals from the collection till as well. I want to ask the former president, on what basis do you make such statements? When you obtain loans at exorbitant amounts to build the port, which has no ships, weren't you stealing from the people and putting it into your own till? You made the people of this country debtors, took money from their tills and deposited dollars into your account. Don't spew out such lies as you make your way from one temple to the next. We will nationalize the money that you stole from the public and make it available to the people.
Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kenichi Sugunuma, called on the Venerable Banagala Upatisatero today.
The Japanese ambassador had expressed gratitude to the late Sir Anagarika Dharmapala, who had sent the income generated through the sale of the Sinhala Baudhya newspaper to Japan to support the victims of the 1923 earthquake.
We are very glad that the Japanese ambassador arrived at the Mahabodhi Society and the Agrashravaka Mahaviharya. The close links between Japan and Sri Lanka were strengthened because of Anagarika Dharmapala. He is the first Sri Lankan to visit Japan, and when Japan was devastated by earthquakes in 1923, he sold the Baudhya newspaper and collected money to assist the people of Japan. We have had links with Japan for many years, and we are glad to host the ambassador.
I was impressed to learn how much exchange there has been between Japan and Sri Lanka through the Mahabodhi Society. So this was a great visit, and I hope Mahabodhi Society will continue to work for Sri Lanka and also for the relation between Japan and Sri Lanka and for the world peace.
The government Audit Services Trade Union says if the government doesn't take action to pass the audit bill through Parliament, it is prepared to engage in a revolution with the people.
At present, the Auditor General's reports are providing a good standard of service and meeting the aspirations of the public. It was a core requirement of the Yahapalan government to project a responsible and transparent service. The Auditor General's report being presented in this manner is in keeping with this requirement. It is the duty of the government to encourage the Auditor General's department further and appreciate the services rendered by the department. It is, however, sad to note that the government has evolved from appreciating the services provided to a state of alienation. The present Prime Minister undertook the responsibility of passing the audit bill and made the necessary arrangements to present the bill to the Cabinet through a memorandum dated the 29th of April 2015, which was passed under 3 specific points being mentioned. The first one is the approval to pass the audit bill. The second is a statement by the Prime Minister saying that this cannot be implemented in the short term, and third point is vesting power in the Prime Minister's Secretary to pass the bill and present it before Parliament. When the Prime Minister took this task on himself, the people thought he would get it done. He is Mr. Clean and we believed him as well. However, it has been over 2 years. We believe that power and corruption are 2 sides of the same coin. Individuals who have been intoxicated by power are not fulfilling their promises and are delaying this audit bill. We will come together with the public and other professionals in our field to fight for this.
That wraps up Primetime News. I'm Sonali Vanigabadage.
And I'm Sharon Silva. Take care and good night.
Good night.